In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about stem changing verbs. Stem changing. What is a stem? So as we know, the endings of the verbs in Spanish are AR, ER, and IR. Those are the endings. So anything that comes before the endings would be considered the stem. For example, in the case that we have in our screen, empezar, empez would be the stem. And when we say stem changing, that means that in addition to changing the endings whenever we conjugate, we're also going to be changing something in the stem. Specifically what? The vowel. There's really going to be 3 groups of stem changing verbs. In the first group, the E is going to change to IE. In the second group, an O is going to change to UE. And in the third one, an E is going to change to I. So let me show you what I mean. So here's the first example. In the first group, empezar, the E that you see highlighted, that's going to change in IE. As you can see, that's what we did when we conjugated for yo. It's not yo empezo, it's yo empiezo. So we've changed the ending, we've changed the O, and then also we've changed the stem. Tú empiezas, él, ella, usted empieza, ellos, ellas, ustedes empiezan. But then take a look at what happened with nosotros and vosotros. There we left the stem just as they were. We did not change the E. And the reason you see a boot on the screen is that anything that's outside the boot doesn't change. That's for you to remember that nosotros and vosotros, you do not need to change the stem. So let's go take a look at that second group from O to UE. As you can see, an example would be dormir, where the O is going to change to UE. Where? It's going to change everywhere except for nosotros and vosotros, where the O is going to remain as it was. And then E to IE, here's another example. Pedir, which means to request, that E has changed to I pretty much everywhere except for nosotros and vosotros. Now here's a list of common verbs that have stem change in the 3 groups that I talked to you about. So you might be thinking, okay, so I understand that O is going to change to UE in the middle. But what about from E to IE? I'm going to get confused because there's some E's that are going to change to I in the third group. Not to worry, in the exam, I'm going to put in parentheses E to IE or E to I. However, you still need to know what they mean and then how to conjugate them, of course. Finally, this one's not really a group because there's one lonely verb in Spanish that changes from U to UE. And that is jugar, which means to play. So that U changes to UE. Yo juego, tú juegas, él, ella, usted juega, ellos, ellas, ustedes juegan. But as you can tell, nosotros and vosotros, that U remains as is. So those are the mechanics of stem changing. There's a couple of other things that you need to take a note of, especially with verbs ending in IR, like pedir. But that's it in a nutshell. I will tell you about those in the next tutorial, which is irregular yo form. So be sure to take a look at that next tutorial.